What if you could quickly find the best deals in your market in just a few simple clicks? I'm Arman, one of the co-founders of Appraiva, the first ever AI driving for dollars app. And in this video, we're gonna go over how you can find the best off-market rundown leads in your market without ever leaving your house. As a wholesaler or flipper, real estate investor, finding deals is super time consuming. One of the biggest challenges as a wholesaler or as a real estate investor is finding deals. It's hard to find motivated sellers because a lot of times you're calling the same list that everyone else is pulling, Propwire, Propstream, batch leads, and all of these platforms, they use the same data, they use the same lists. So when you're trying to find motivated sellers and you're trying to find good deals, what you're looking for is different layers of motivation of someone who needs to sell their property. Some of these are motivation factors that are commonly known that you can find on any platform, like the house being vacant, or it being a landlord that's owned the property for a long time, or maybe they live out of state and they don't want to deal with the property anymore. There's all sorts of these types of typical motivation factors. Those are all good ways to narrow a list down, but because they're highly accessible to so many people, they become very competitive. So it's not just you looking at this same list of properties, it's you and the thousands of other wholesalers or real estate investors in your market that also have access to the same lists. What makes Appraiva and really driving for dollars just as a concept so powerful is that the condition of a property being in distress, because that's not a data point that gets reported up to these different platforms that they have as a filter that you can use. The only way to find this specific motivation signal, which is the house being in physical distress, is to actually go out and drive around and look at these properties in real life to see what condition they're in. And what we've done is basically just automated that. So instead of you getting in your car and spending all this time driving around, let's call it 7, 8, 9 years ago, people realized that you can actually virtually drive for dollars, click through Google Street View manually to find these rundown properties. We've just taken that one step further by actually having AI automate that process. We just take the Street View images for any neighborhood that you're looking for, and we feed them to an AI model that can see. That AI model basically spots the rundown properties and delivers the addresses to you in a list. And so what makes it very effective is that all of a sudden, you have a list that not everyone else has. It's a unique list, it's a less competitive list, and ultimately that makes your job easier as far as finding these motivated sellers and finding your next deal. Google typically updates Street View imagery every 12 to 18 months. And so a lot of folks, when they meet with us, their number one concern is, well, how do you guys get around the fact that the Street View imagery is outdated? Because there's a chance that someone has come since the Google Street View image was taken, already bought the property and rehabbed it. And so if we're analyzing an image that's from 2022, how do we know that that property today is in the same condition in real life? We spent 8 months trying to come up with a solution for this, and the solution ended up actually being pretty simple. All we have to do is use the public record data that tells us whether the ownership of the property's changed and use a 5-year or 10-year minimum ownership years filter. And what that does is it makes sure that the ownership of the property hasn't changed for at least 5 or 10 years or even 15 years, whatever the customer wants to set. And as a result, we can be sure that the property is in the same condition in real life as it was when the image was taken. The task of actually identifying a rundown property is not that difficult. A lot of people train VAs and entry-level VAs to do it, people who are basically just looking for a side gig to do it. It's not rocket science, right? You gotta look at a property, you gotta see if the roof is in bad condition, the lawn is overgrown. These are very simple things. We basically have the AI score these different elements of the property out of 10. On each different element, on its distress level. With manual inspections, you're right up at the property. You have actual eyes physically on the property, which naturally will have its advantages. But the benefit of doing it with AI and doing it at scale is really that it's boundless and it's much more efficient. Within a matter of minutes, you could be scanning tens of thousands of properties using a tool like Appraiva. Once you scan an area with this AI tool that we've built, it's scoring all these different elements of the property, and we use those different scores for the roof condition, for the lawn, for the exterior walls, for the windows, And we actually synthesize all of those scores up into an overall distress score for the property. What that overall score does is it takes these different elements into account, but it takes them into account at different weights. So things that are more critical, like the roof, they don't get weighed the same as things that are more aesthetic, like the exterior paint. We have an indicator, for example, that is indicators of neglect, right? So there being trash on the lawn, or it being boarded up, or smashed windows, or graffiti. And so when you get this list back of all these properties in the area that were scanned, you'll have the full list of properties that were scored from the lowest scoring ones, which the model deemed to be the least distressed, all the way up to the highest scoring ones that were the most distressed. So our customers will take the ones that are 65, 70 and above, as well as the ones that are 80 and above, which are truly, real driving for dollars leads. And those will be the ones that they'll target with direct mail or automated SMS or cold calling, the typical kind of methods of reaching out to sellers. So some of our customers, if they have a CRM, they'll take our very simple, easy CSV export, and they'll just basically simply import it into their CRM system that they use. Others who may be sort of more just getting started, they'll take that data and they'll just take it into an Excel sheet and just work with it in Excel. If you're looking to scale your deal flow, then you want to take advantage of these new technologies. That's really the bottom line. If you like this video, like and subscribe for more tips on how to use AI to find more motivated sellers for your wholesale real estate business.